Okay, welcome to the second part of my pesticides video. No team builder this time. If you want to go and see the logic as to why I built the team the way I did, check out the first part. That's the link to that will be in the description, I'm sure. But for now, we'll just get straight on with round 3, which was against Phil. Phil's team was Gligar, Wormadam, Tropius, Drapion, Galarian Stunfisk, and Toxicroak. And I quite liked Golbat here as a lead. It'll, it's going to deal with the double flying core quite nice, and with Toxicroak. And if I win that lead, what he's going to bring in is going to be something like Stunfisk, Wormadam, or Drapion. And I've got lots of counters to those things. I've got Escavalier, I've got Swampert, I've got Galarian Stunfisk as well. So in this instance, I wanted to lead Golbat because I could protect it really well. So that's what I do. I lead Golbat, and then I have Escavalier and Swampert in the back. If I win the lead, I'll counter swap to Escavalier. When he swaps out. If I lose the lead, I will safe swap to Swampert, because what that does is, well, if I lose the lead, it'll be to Drapion, Wormadam, or Stunfisk, so I'll be able to counter switch Swampert in. Now that might draw in a Tropius that he has in the back, but if that is the case, I'll be able to get a Sludge Wave off on it, whether he blocks it or not. Debatably, it's good if I get the damage, or it's good if I get the shield. And then I can come in and farm it with the Golbat. And with Escavalier as my other Pokemon, having the Tropius gone will make Escavalier more threatening as well. So yeah, that's the line. So I'll press play. So there's the Golbat lead and straight into Toxicroak, so that's an amazing lead for me. It's perfect because I don't necessarily have to save Golbat for it either. I can use Swampert to beat it. You can see there, I try and switch to Escavalier, but I accidentally take a screenshot instead. Don't know how that happened, but all is good and well. Overfarm a little bit and go for the Drill Room, just to try and be a bit deceptive as to how long it might take until the next one. He blocks it. I'm quite happy to not shield at this point, because nothing he can do is going to hurt me too much. It's going to all be resisted. Oh, I do shield. Escavalier is pretty frail, but it's probably just as well I did shield, because the defense drops are making those confusions quite chunky now. But again, I'm able to overfarm a little bit. Hoping I can reach the next one. Yes, that's good. So I'm in a very strong position now. Shield up and having one switch. So he comes in and farms me down. I'm not gonna make it to the charge move. So back in with Golbat to farm, and then straight counter switch to Swampert. And that's it. It's game over really. Swampert's just going to beat the Galarian Stunfisks here with the Hydro Cannons. And that will leave Golbat lined up with the Toxicroak. I choose to shield. I think I can probably just win with Swampert here, to be honest. It speeds things up a little bit. So overfarm a little bit, knowing that if he does get a Rock Slide in before me, it's going to do nothing. So yeah, this will kill, and then I'm very close to the next Hydro Cannon, which will decimate the Toxicroak. So yeah, that's game one. In game 2, I use Swampert, Golbat, and Galarian Stunfisk. So I noticed he didn't bring Tropius that game. And Tropius is the only thing that beats Swampert on his team. So by leading Swampert, I'm guaranteeing myself a good lead as long as he doesn't lead Tropius. And the fact that he didn't bring Tropius at all last game makes me feel he's not confident with it. So I don't expect him to lead it. And then Golbat and Galarian Stunfisk in the back both beat Tropius. So if he does lead Tropius, I've got options to go into. And between those two, they have perfect coverage. And what I mean by that is anything. So they both beat Tropius, as I say, but then anything else on his team, one of them will beat. So Golbat beats Gligar and beats Toxicroak, and Galarian Stunfisk beats Wormadam and Drapion and has to mirror with Galarian Stunfisk as well. So I lead Swampert and I see the Wormadam lead. I think this is just about a positive matchup for me, but the confusions will add up, so I do have to be a little bit careful. So let's see what happens. So I overfarm quite a lot. And I know Swampert's really threatening against him, and I know I've got a load of energy. So I choose to switch out here, hoping to catch a Bug Buzz or something with Galarian Stunfisk, which would be resisted, and it's dead bulky. But it doesn't quite happen. He comes in with Toxicroak, which may seem bad and is bad, but I can land an I can get off an Earthquake here, force that last shield. And now I've got the 2 shield advantage with Swampert in the back with a bit of energy, so I'm looking really good here. Let that through to maintain that shield advantage. I would expect myself to go Golbat here to keep it away from the Wormadam. Yep. So I'm just going to come in and go for the farm down, build up a load of energy on this as well. So as I say, just farming him down. I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball on the Wormadam, just to do a nice big chunk to it. And then into Swampert to try and hit it with a... well, I try and go into Swampert to try and hit it with the Hydro Cannon, but he does get the charge move off, so he forces out my first shield. Don't know why he went for Bug Buzz over Ironhead, probably a misclick. So yeah, in comes the Tropius, and I'm able to land a Sludge Wave. It does a huge amount of damage. Yeah, it's a big chunk. Now I don't shield this because I know I need, or I should say, I think I need to farm down the Tropius with Golbat in order to get a Shadow Ball off on the worm, which I've completely forgot what the worm was. And yes, that's what happens. I maintain the amount of health on the worm, on the Tropius, so I can farm it, so I can get the Shadow Ball. So that's game 2. And then in the third game, I'm just going to go back to the same line I started with the Golbat, Escavalier, and Swampert. However, this time, now he is using Tropius. I'm going to try and use Escavalier as the swap, in the hope that might draw out a Tropius, and that will make Swampert incredibly good towards the end. And that's assuming a bad lead, of course. There's still pretty much a 50-50 chance that Golbat wins the lead still. So just going to change the way I play the line ever so slightly, just to keep him guessing. So it's a bad lead, so I have to get out of there straight away. But as I say, rather than going to Swampert this time, I'm going to go to Escavalier. But he doesn't fall for it. He brings in the Toxicroak. I don't know why I'm going for Aerial Ace. Drill Run is a much better move and is super effective as well, but never mind. He blocks it anyway, so that's fine. And almost another one. And he goes for the Mud Bomb. Now at this point, I'm going to let this through and come in and farm with Golbat to make sure I get some use out of Golbat, and I'm still maintaining that shield advantage for Swampert, which could be useful on the off chance that he hasn't got Tropius in the back. If he's got Tropius in the back, it's going to be very difficult for me to overcome. But there's not much I can do about it at this point. So again, I've got to maintain this shield advantage, and there's no point shielding Golbat because he just comes in with Wormadam anyway. So I'm expecting the Wormadam. So I imagine I'm going to switch straight away to Swampert. Oh no, I'll go for the Shadow Ball first to try and chunk away at it. He lets it through, so now it's in range of where a Hydro Cannon would kill it. Yep, here comes the Tropius. I don't want to mess about going for baits, so I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Wave. In hindsight, maybe I should have gone for a bait, I don't know. But good job I didn't, because he lets it through. And again, I'm not going to shield because, again, my win condition here is to try and farm him down with Golbat so I can get a Shadow Ball on Wormadam. Now he's still got a shield available, so I'm going to have to try and burn that with a Poison Fang. So I'm going to farm up to a bit more and just hope I can get a Poison Fang and a Shadow Ball. So here comes the Poison Fang to hopefully burn the shield, which he does, but then don't quite reach the Shadow Ball, so lose game 3 with 2 shields remaining. But 2-1 is enough through to the next round. So yeah, really good games with Phil, and he clearly adjusted well to make sure he brought the Tropius in the second and third. Was a bit surprised he didn't bring it in the first, to be honest. But there we go. So that puts me at 3-0. Round 4 was against Spock. Galarian Stunfisk, Abomasnow, Forretress, Golbat, Gliscor, Drapion. And similar to Phil, he's got the one grass type in Abomasnow. So Swampert's looking very, very good again. And again, Escavalier and Galarian Stunfisk can sort of bodyguard it against an Abomasnow lead. In terms of how they fare against in the back, they're pretty good. So Escavalier will beat Stunfisk, it'll beat Forretress, and it'll beat Drapion. Galarian Stunfisk will beat Golbat. So Gliscor's a bit of an issue here, but Galarian Stunfisk, the rock slides will chip away, and if I call baits right with Night Slash and Earthquake on the Gliscor, it's not a terrible matchup. And one thing I noticed is that it's a really low CP Gliscor, so maybe that suggests that he doesn't rate it enough to invest in a really good IV one. So maybe he isn't going to use it. Similar with Drapion, perhaps. So yeah, again, Swampert, Escavalier, Galarian Stunfisk. So this is a reasonable lead. What's nice about this is that Golbat can't be spamming around the Poison Fangs because they're going to be resisted. So I get to a Hydro Cannon before he gets to a Shadow Ball. I imagine this will do about 50-55% if he lets it through. Yeah, about that. So I farm up a bit more, and then I go to Stunfisk, hoping to take a Shadow Ball with that. knowing it's much bulkier than the Swampert, but he switches out, so he's loaded on energy. Brings his own Stunfisk in. At this point, I've got the energy lead, so the prerogatives on him to bait. So I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake, and he lets it through. And this makes my decision easier when it comes to shielding this, because he's only going to get one charge move off, so it has to be an Earthquake really. So it's an easy shield for me to use there. And then I can just farm him down. Golbat comes back in. Yeah, it's going to be a Shadow Ball. It's going to do about 40%, I guess, so happy to let it through. And then Rock Slide's going to do enough damage to kill him, but he gets another charge move here, and that came so quick that I was really confident that it was a Poison Fang. So again, I'm just going to let it through. He just goes for that, just for chip damage before he dies. So the Rock Slide's going to finish him off here unless he shields. Then in comes the Abomasnow. I'll take away shield with the Rock Slide, but I've still got a Scavalier in the back. Which I switch to now, and then that'll be game over. There's nothing Abomasnow can do. So what I'm noticing about his team is that my double Mud Boys, my Swampert and my Galarian Stunfisk, between them have perfect coverage for his entire team. And I didn't bring Abomasnow first game, and neither did he bring Forretress either. So I'm not expecting him to bring Forretress again. And I don't think he'll expect me to bring Abomasnow, given how well that went for me. So the reason I'm speaking about Forretress is because it's the only hard counter on his team to Abomasnow. So I'm going to lead that and have the two Mud Boys in the back with their perfect coverage. And again, they both beat Forretress as well, so I'm able to bodyguard it. So that the synergy in my team of 6 is working really nicely for me here. So I lead Abomasnow and into the Golbat. Now, one of the reasons I picked Golbat is because it puts up a good fight against the Abomasnow, but I know Golbat needs an energy lead to beat it, so I'm quite happy staying in here and trying to take the switch advantage or the shield advantage, and seeing what happens. So yeah, I know I'll shield the Poison Fang, land a Weather Ball. So yeah, get the shield back in return. Nothing too special here, just going straight for it again. Now I win CMP this time, which is pretty handy, or whether it's CMP or whether I just get beat into it, I don't know. I get the second shield, and that encourages me to let this through, I believe. Yeah, so I choose to let this through, hoping I can get to another one, but I can't. But I can come in with Stunfisk here and start building up some energy, and hopefully I can make the most of the shield advantage I have, because I don't think there's any. I think Stunfisk beats everything on his team with a shield advantage, so I'm quite happy in this scenario. As does Swampert actually, because Swampert will be able to shield the grass move from Abomasnow and do a massive chunk with Sludge Wave, so shield advantage works fine for me here as well. So again, he comes in with the Stunfisk. He pulls a good switch here, trying to catch the Earthquake, but just mistimes it slightly, goes a little too early, so I'm able to react and counter switch with Swampert. Not going to shield the first one because it was too quick to be an Earthquake. Gets the boost, yep. So I'll probably have to shield a second one. I don't think this will quite kill. I might let this through. I think it would have been smart to let that through actually, and then kill it with Stunfisk, and then land an Earthquake. But it doesn't seem to matter. I've got a lot of energy on both Stunfisk and on Swampert now, so. So yeah, the Gliscor goes down. He spends his energy on the Swampert, and then I come in and drop an Earthquake. It won't quite kill, but I'll be able to farm him down before he's able to get to another Earthquake. So, although he can't have been far off here actually, and that's why I say that probably it would have been safer to let the Swampert down. But alas, it doesn't really matter. And again, after the third game, I'm just going to go back to the first line of Swampert, Escavalier, and Galarian Stunfisk, just because I think that's it's a strong line. So there goes the Swampert lead into Fortress. This is pretty well. It's very good for Swampert. It's resisting the bug bites and it's charging very fast. That's me just checking which order I've got my Pokemon in the back. So if I do choose to switch, I know which button to click on. Firing off a Hydro Cannon here. And then I do similar to what I've done against Phil. I've seen the Swampert as a threat to him, so I've saved it with a bunch of energy and tried to tank something with the Galarian Stunfisk, and that's worked nicely. In comes the Drapion. He's going to want to go for I'm presuming this is going to be Aqua Tail. So it's super effective, but it ain't going to do a great deal of damage. It's only a weak move, and it's not got stab behind it. So I'll let that through. Go for a bait here. I've not been playing particularly baity versus him. I've not really had reason to be honest. So get the bait, and it looks like I'm going to be able to hit an Earthquake. So that's good. So I'm able to get the Earthquake off. And that decimates the Drapion, so I've got switch and shield advantage again, which is just lovely. Wasn't quite able to get to the Rock Slide for the Fortress, so I'm just going to let this through, keep the advantage, but it doesn't actually kill me. Drops my attack though, so I don't think the Rock Slide will kill because of that now. Then in with a Escavalier. His last is a Bomber Snow, so yeah, that's the game. So 3-0 that time. Good games to Spock. Again, having the double Mud Boys against a team that only had one grass was really handy. Yeah, so that's the game. To the final now, so I was the last unbeaten player, so if I lose this, it's a tie, but if I win, it's a sweep. And this is against Marcus Arceus Aurelius. Finished elite last season in the Silph arena, so obviously a very good player. And his team is I've not got it up yet. His team is Tropius, Gliscor, Escavalier, Wormadam, Cradily, and Quillfish. Very different to what we've seen so far. And Cradily absolutely terrifies me because it means I can't just spam Golbat around as I have been doing, because Golbat's there to beat. It's been there to beat grasses when the grasses have been Tropius. But now that there's Wormadam and Cradily that can really put the hurt on it, I'm not keen on using the Golbat. Quillfish isn't a great matchup for Golbat either, because I can't spam the Poison Fangs. So finally, Haunter's going to see some usage. And Haunter does actually look really good here. It's going to batter the Escavalier. I'm assuming it's going to beat the Tropius and Cradilly, just by virtue of resisting grass and being quite spammy itself. And I imagine it's got a fairly even matchup with Quillfish. I imagine it can probably take an Aquatail just about. But I wouldn't have thought. I think I would imagine Quillfish wins the more shields are used. So, but you know, it's a playable matchup. And the other things that he's got, being Wormadam and Gliscor, aren't gonna, you know, they don't resist Ghost. Like, it's not like they're a Dark type or a normal type or anything, so they're not going to want to take a Shadow Ball. So I really like Haunter here. I can see it being a fantastic closer. So somewhat counterintuitively, I decide to lead it on the basis that it's going to either get a good matchup or it's going to get a bad matchup, isn't it? But if it gets a bad matchup, I can switch out, he will counter switch, and then I'll be able to come in, back in with Haunter and farm up, and then start throwing Shadow Balls and having some fun. So that was the thought process there. As I say, the things I don't want to see in the lead are Gliscor and Wormadam, so Stunfisk and Swampert in the back. Swampert because it'll take on the Wormadam and the Gliscor, Stunfisk because it'll take on the Wormadam, and with the shield advantage it will beat Gliscor. And between Swampert and Haunter being spammy, I might get a shield advantage. So let's have a look. So lead Haunter, and right what I don't want to see, Wormadam. So I'm straight into Swampert here. Surprised he hasn't counter switched, but quite okay with that really. It's suggesting no Cradilly in the back, which is handy for G-Fisk. We get a bit of lag here, but I felt pretty mutual. So I go for the Hydro Cannon. Still does a lot despite being not very effective. He beats me to the next one. And I want to win switch now, because I don't want Haunter to line back up against the Wormadam if possible. And I know I'm going to be able to get very close to the Hydro Cannon, so we'll be able to get the shield back against something if I need it. But he blocks. But I'm able to go for the second one, so I think he lets this through. No, he shields it, okay. So able to farm me down. That's a really good play on his part, because he's denying me the opportunity to farm. Like a really good call to be able to judge that was going to beat the Swampert. I'm not going to be able to farm, and he's just going to be able to come straight back in with Wormadam here. So I'm getting ready to switch out straight away, which I do, into Galarian Stunfisk. And this can take on Gliscor with a shield advantage as long as I call the moves right. So I'm just going to fire away the Rock Slides. So he's only one Rock Slide away now. And the fact that he's only one Rock Slide away means he has to land an Earthquake, so he has to bait, because I've got a shield, so I called that nicely. And then I shield just in case this one's Earthquake. And that's going to be able to swing the game in my favour. So I can go for a Rock Slide now. It's lagging a little bit with the Gliscor, but we don't think it mattered. He was never, given that I called the bait, we don't think it mattered. Stunfisk will tank a Bug Buzz or an Iron Head here, one of the two. And I'm going to go up to Earthquake just to be safe. And that'll finish off the Wormadam. So I managed to win game 1, despite Haunter being less than useless, worse than useless, which is a shame. It would have been nice to get some fun use out of Haunter. Game 2. I've got it in my head that for some reason, well, he's used. I don't expect him to use double Bug Steel, and I've got it in my head that after having led the Wormadam last game, he won't lead it this game. And a Bomber Snow beats the other 4 things, so I'm going to lead a Bomber Snow. Because, well, as I say, it'll have good leads, and I don't think he's going to have Wormadam and a Scavalier. So he'll only be able to pressure a Bomber Snow with one of them. And again, I have 2 things in the back that can take those on, which are my own Scavalier and my Galarian Stunfisk. So let's have a look what happens. Also, an important thing to note here is if I get a bad lead and I swap to Galarian Stunfisk to take on the Wormadam or the Escavalier, and he counter swaps to Gliscor, that will make my Escavalier very dangerous versus him. So, but he does lead the Wormadam again, so I have got to switch. So as I say, I go into the Stunfisk, hoping to see the Gliscor counter. I get it, because now, as I say, this makes Escavalier very dangerous against him. Similar scenario, I'm just going to spam off the Rock Slides. Need 3 of them to kill him by the looks of things. So here comes the second one. He goes for a charge move in here. I called him on the bait last time, so I'm going to shield this time. Just mix up how I'm playing it, and I get the shield. So that's really nice. And so I'll go for the 3rd Rock Slide here. Yeah, and take him out. In with the Quillfish. He gets a bit of lag, so I'll wait for him to get a couple of water guns in. I build up to the Earthquake, or close to the Earthquake, as far as he's aware that might be Earthquake. And I'm just going to spam away the Rock Slides just to chunk away the Quillfish's health. It's not a very bulky mon at all, so even the Rock Slides would do a lot of damage. I'm able to get to 2. Get the second shield as well, so this is lovely. And now I'm going to let Galarian Stunfisk go down and take the shield advantage and run for the hills with it. Come back in with the Bomber Snow. And then counter straight into the Escavalier. And as I say, now his Gliscor is gone, this thing is very, very dangerous. I'll let this charge move through because I'm much more concerned about having to take an Aqua Tail from the Quillfish than anything that this Wormadam can throw at me. Do I overcharge a little bit? Because I'm not sure whether this will kill. I don't think it will. I want to be close to the charge move for when the Quillfish comes back in. Yeah, as you see, there's nowhere near enough to kill. Battle Shield here because I know I can just finish it off with counters and then drill run the Quillfish. So yeah, there goes the counters. In comes the Quillfish, and off goes the drill run. So that makes it 2-0. Now, we haven't seen a Cradily yet from him, so I'm just going to decide to lead Swampert. And I'm going to go back to the idea of Haunter in the back. and Haunter being a bit of a beast that can cause mayhem. Because if I lose the lead with Swampert, I'm losing to Tropius and Cradilly. And I can switch Haunter in on those. And yes, I might get counter switched by Gliscor or Wormadam, but hopefully I'll be able to get a big charge move off before that. And again, I'm going to pair those with Galarian Stunfisk, because between the spammy, the shield pressure that Swampert and Haunter put on the opponent, I might be able to manufacture a sort of shield advantage, and Galarian Stunfisk again beats everything on his team with a shield advantage. So yeah. So Swampert lead, and straight into the Cradilly, which is not what I want to see. But well, especially given that I've only got one counter to it, which is Haunter, so I decided not to switch into the Haunter and instead just go for the damage first straight away, and then try and catch a Grass Knot with Galarian Stunfisk. Doesn't quite work out. Well, it does in the end. He goes for it, but I'd much rather take the damage. I'd much rather take this as a neutral hit than a super effective hit on the Swampert. Now, the fact that he's staying in here suggests to me that he's not bothered about saving the Cradilly for Swampert, so maybe he's got Tropius in the back, which is worth knowing. So I shield up. In comes the Quillfish. I went Rock Slides versus him last game, so I'm going to mix it up and I'm going to go Earthquakes this time. Hoping that one goes through straight away, but he blocks it. I'm going to go try and get to another Earthquake, but he doesn't let me. He sees that I'm building energy up, so he goes for the Aqua Tail. I decide to shield it. Strange choice, actually, in retrospect. Because he's got a shield left, so we can just shield this again, and then he's able to farm me down. So maybe in hindsight, maybe I should have let that Aqua Tail through, but never mind. In comes the Cradilly, and as I say, I think he's got Tropius in the back, so I'm just going to switch Swampert in to encourage him to throw the energy, because I'm fairly confident Swampert's useless at this point, given that I haven't got switch advantage. So he's going to throw the energy, and hopefully I can farm him down with Haunter. But he doesn't let me. He switches straight away, so good play on his part. I'm going to continue to play aggressively. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. Knowing that he's got a shield left, he might think I'm going to bait to get that shield, so then may not shield. So I go for the Shadow Ball, but he blocks it, and he's able to get an Aerial Ace off. Had I gone for, so I had two Shadow Punches there, but as we see, it wouldn't have made much of a difference because Galarian Stunfisk's on such low health. For some reason I decide right at the last minute that there might be a chance that this kills, which is just ridiculous, because Tropius is so bulky. But yeah, so I lose the third, but managed to win the first two to secure the sweep. So yeah, really pleased with that tournament. Played a lot of, 5 very, very strong opponents. Really pleased with the team. I thought a lot of the picks all complemented each other really nicely. Haunter was a bit of an outlier, but it was that. Well, I think the game versus round 5 showed that it was important that it was there just in case, and it's debatable whether it's a good use of a slot, having something there just in case, because I got very little use out of it, and when I did use it, it didn't work. It was rubbish. But on another day, it could have done a lot of work versus Marcus, and we saw in round 2, I think, I contemplated bringing the Haunter, didn't, but had I gone with Haunter, I'd have won comfortably. I won anyway, but so yeah, so it's debatable whether it's a waste of a slot it being there if you're not going to use it much, or whether it's actually really valuable it being there, because you can let the other picks carry you as they did me, because they worked well together. And then use that last slot as a sort of worst case scenario relief mon. So I sort of saw that worst case scenario for me would be Cradilly or Cherim, and Haunter takes on both of those pretty well. So yeah, I stand by the Haunter pick. It could have done a lot of work, but in the end, it didn't really need to. So the others did their job. So yeah, that's it. Looking forward to getting started on the Sunrise Cup. So catch you soon.